order. So this is the May meeting of the Township Council for the month of May the 28th. And so just before I start, I just want to acknowledge Councillor Morell's presence. I had a little comment I made at the earlier group, but there's 3 people here that weren't here then, but just want to acknowledge Councillor Morell's presence. He went to his father's funeral today, and I just want to thank him for coming to the meeting tonight as well. It's a very difficult time for he and his family. So then I'll proceed on with the next item on the agenda, which is approval of the agenda. And Councillor Smale, I believe you have that.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, that Municipal Council approves the agenda as presented. I didn't check presented, sorry.
You've heard the motion. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And then the next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures here this evening? Councillor Barrett.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So item 16A, the JRDR drain. My mother and father-in-law are respondents to that case at the tribunal, and I've submitted my disclosure to the deputy clerk. And though matters under the Drainage Act, I believe, are not included in the conflict of interest requirements, to avoid the appearance of a conflict, I've made that declaration.
Thank you very much. Are there any other declarations? Councillor Smale.
I have one under 7D, or sorry, 8D, and it's the Walker Street reconstruction. I live on that street, so I've also filed with the deputy clerk.
Okay, thank you very much. 2 declarations here tonight, both filed. And I'll proceed then to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the minutes of the previous council meeting. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smale, the Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the regular council meeting dated April 23rd, 2015.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of the motion, please signify. Motion is carried. And so then we'll proceed to the next item on the agenda, which is business arising from the previous council meeting, if any. Is there, or are there, any items arising from the minutes? Hearing none, I'm going to go on to item 7 on the agenda, which is various minutes of committee meetings. 7A, the Public Library Board, Councillor Morell.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale that the Municipal Council receives the minutes of the Public Library Board meeting dated March 27, 2018.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, the motion's on the floor. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And 7B, the Port Management Committee meeting of April the 18th. Councillor Smale.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, the Municipal Council receives the minutes of the Port Management Committee meeting dated April 18th, 2018.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. (7C), the Recreation Advisory Committee meeting of May the 1st. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smale, the Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of Recreation Advisory Committee meeting dated May 1, 2018.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. And 7D, the Community Development Committee meeting of May the 7th. Councillor Smale.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, the Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting dated May 7, 2018.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And 7E, the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance, May the 14th. Councillor Morell.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smale that Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated May 14, 2018.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And 7F, the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities Committee of May the 22nd. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smale, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of Committee of the Whole Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities meeting dated May 22nd, 2018.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. So now there are a number of, I'm proceeding to item 8, and there are a number of action and information items coming forward from the committee meetings. 8A, the Port Capital Budget Amendment. Councillor Morel.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale that municipal council amend the 2018 port capital budget to include the cost of a replacement pickup truck for the port general manager as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Carried. And 8B, King's Law Distillery, By the Glass License. Councillor Smale.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, the municipal council support the King's Lock Craft Distillery in the application of a license to offer their product served by the glass, as recommended by the Community Development Committee.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And set 8C, the Spencerville Legion Beer Garden request. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smale, the municipal council supports the events of the Spencerville Legion, specifically their request to host 2 outdoor beer gardens on the following dates in 2018. August 18, 2018, Ball Banquet, September 22nd, 2018, Legion Week event, as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? And item 8D, the Walker Street Reconstruction Tender Award. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Morel, the municipal council award the Walker Street Reconstruction Tender ECPW 1803 to Cornwall Gravel Company at a cost of $1,087,943 plus HST. Authorize the Director of Operations to execute contract documents. Approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $108,794 to be used at the Director of Operations' discretion should any unforeseen issues arise during the project, as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Councillor Smales declared an interest, left the table. Hearing no discussion, those in favor? Motion is carried. And item 8E, the OCIF top-up application funding. Councillor Morel.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smale that municipal council, 1, endorse the County Road 2 water and sewer rehabilitation as a selected project eligible for the 2018 OCIF top-up application based component, and 2, direct staff to prepare and submit an application under the 2018 intake prior to the August 28th, 2018 deadline, as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? And again, just for the folks in the audience, these matters have all been discussed at the various committee meetings, and we've hashed them out in those venues. Item 8F, the railway right-of-way property taxation issue. Councillor Smale.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barrett, the municipal council direct staff to request a review of the following railway right-of-way properties by the Ministry of Finance to determine if the high tonnage rate applies. Do I need to read the numbers?
let's just say 3 tax roll numbers.
3 times, because those are really large. It'll take me a long time.
So this is a new issue. Discussion again? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. I'm curious to know where the properties are. Are they all on the CNR main line?
1 CN, and 2 CP.
1 CN, 2 CP?
Yeah.
Very interesting. No tonnage on the CPs, that's for sure. Okay, so then I'm at item 8G, the Spencerville Optimist Club Soapbox Derby. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale that municipal council support and approve the request for partial closure of Miller Road on June 3rd, 2018 from Miller Road West to County Road 21 between the hours of 9 AM and 3:30 PM for the Optimist Club Soapbox Derby, and residents directly affected by the road closure be notified by the Optimist Club and direct staff to supply barricades, notify emergency services, and post the road closure on social media.
There we go. And new issue, discussion of any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And then item 9 on the agenda is the correspondence, receiving the correspondence. And Councillor Smale, I believe you have that.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, the municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated: May 8th, May 14th, May 22nd, all of 2018.
So all correspondence addressed to the mayor or the mayor and council is compiled into packages that we receive on various dates. And this is our way of acknowledging receipt of that correspondence. Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any. Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And item number 10 on the agenda is approval of the municipal disbursement sheet. Councillor Barron.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale, the municipal council approves paying the municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report dated May 3rd, 2018, $275,196.60. Report dated May 9th, 2018, $138,051.56. Report dated May 23rd, 2018, $288,212.55, totaling $701,460.71.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any. Disbursement sheets have been circulated. Okay, hearing none. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. And so now I'm on item number 11 on the agenda, which is various bylaws. And the first bylaw, 11A, is a site plan control agreement with Marshall. Councillor Smale.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barrett that the move be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Tabitha Marshall and Lyndon Marshall, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any. First and second reading. Those in favor? And so that motion is carried unanimously. It can proceed to third reading.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Tabitha Marshall and Lyndon Marshall be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed, and numbered 2018-27.
Thank you very much. Third reading. Those in favor? Motion is carried. So, Ms. Marshall, you have your site plan agreement. And 11B is appoint building inspectors. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale, the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to appoint building inspectors for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Motion's on the floor. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried unanimously. Third reading.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale that a bylaw to appoint building inspectors for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2018-28.
Third reading. Those in favor. Motion is carried. And bylaw 11C, parking bylaw and the set fine schedule that goes with it. Councillor Morel.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Smale that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to provide for the regulation of parking within the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
First and second reading. Discussion, if any. Hearing none. Those in favor. The motion is carried unanimously. Can proceed to third reading.
Again, moved by myself, seconded by Counselor Smale, that a bylaw to provide for the regulation of parking within the township of Eversburg Cardinal be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2018-29.
Third reading, discussion, hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. So a set fine bylaw means that the set fine schedule that accompanies the bylaw gets sent to the Chief Justice, and once he approves the schedule, that authorizes the township bylaw officer to issue tickets on the spot for parking violations. And I'm at 11D, the use of corporate resources policy. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Schmale, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt a policy regarding the use of corporate resources for election purposes, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Third reading, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Smale, that a bylaw to adopt a policy regarding the use of corporate resources for election purposes be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2018-30.
Thank you very much. Third reading. Discussion, hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And bylaw 11E, the Port On-Serve Managed Services Agreement. Councillor Smale.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barrett that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to enter into a managed service agreement for the Port of Johnstown with OnServe Inc. And this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading. Discussion, hearing none, those in favor? Carried unanimously. Proceed to third.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barrett that a bylaw to enter into a managed service agreement with the Port of Johnstown with OnServe Inc. be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed, number 2018-31.
Thank you very much. Third reading, those in favor? Motion is carried. And bylaw 11F, amend the bylaw 200604 site plan control agreement. Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Smale, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the amendment of a site plan control agreement as authorized by bylaw 2006-04, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading. This is the old bingo hall, amendment to the site agreement for the old bingo hall. Discussion, if any. Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Smale, that a bylaw to authorize the amendment of a site plan control agreement as authorized by bylaw 2006-04 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2018-32.
Very good. Discussion, hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And so now I'm on item 12 of the agenda. Item 12 of the agenda is the CAO's administrative update. And how are we gonna do this? Let's start with the CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Things are going along for the most part in most departments with not much in the way of hiccups. We're on track for building bylaw. Our road construction contracts are being issued apace. You saw the construction out in front of the council chamber door. We're getting that capital project done. And so things are going along pretty much the way we would hope that they would. With respect to upcoming dates, one thing I did want to just correct is the Soapbox Derby. The resolution had a typo in it. It's actually June 23rd, not June 3rd. I apologize for that. The official plan review kicks off Wednesday, June 27th. So it will be necessary to have a quorum of council at that meeting. And I know that the mayor is otherwise engaged that night at the graduation ceremonies.
Yes, and if I can just stop there. So I'm going to be at St. Mary's because my granddaughter is the valedictorian.
Oh, congratulations.
And Deputy Mayor Taylor is going to be at South Grenville to present on behalf of the township. So it would be depending on the other three members of council to form the quorum.
So could you put that in your calendar in ink, please? Thank you. I think that, so the other thing you may recall that we talked about the South Nation getting a grant to do what they call LiDAR survey along St. Lawrence River, is largely as a way of helping with flood mitigation, and they did receive that funding. They'll have to wait to do the flyovers until the fall when the leaves are off the trees, so that they can get a real good view of everything. We're working through our asset management program. Next sort of workshop for all of staff is May 31st, Thursday, and we will be at it all day talking about condition assessment and how we go about getting that data into a form that's useful for us. Facilities and recreation, we've got summer program well underway. Tonight's the first registration for the summer camps and swimming lessons and all that kind of good stuff, and we're expecting to have a very successful year there as well. There was a major water line break in Cardinal on May 16th. The crews were out for something like 13 hours to get that one under control, and I did get a lovely email from one of the residents congratulating the crew on their efforts and expressing appreciation for the work that was done there. There will be a more fulsome report coming next month on that water break. I guess there is a little bit of news on the Mary Street outlet. As you know, we've kind of asked counties to stick handle the tendering of that project, and the engineer's estimate did come back at $87,000 for that work, which is a big number, but is in line what we had been led to expect in discussions and tenders that went forward in years past. So nothing surprising there. Emergency management, we did have EP week, and we're fortunate to partner with Augusta and Prescott on making sure that we did our due diligence with regard to our public education program, and their efforts were greatly appreciated. They had a booth at the Independent in Prescott and made sure that the word got out. Other than that, any questions from council?
Okay, we'll start with Councilor Morel, and just go around the table.
If I may, I'll pick up on the Mary Street outlet. I know SNC is now involved, and the counties are kind of taking the lead for the engineering and so forth. We've set aside around $41,000, I think, for the project, if I recall. Does that mean of the $87,000, the counties will pick up the other side?
No. We haven't got that far yet. Basically, where we're at is engineering estimates, and of course, tenders will have to be drawn and all that before we know for sure how much it's going to be, and at some point, we'll have to make a decision as to how that project's going to be funded, for sure. But you're quite correct, there is not $87,000 in the budget to cover that cost.
I have another question. I see a new date for the Prescott joint board meeting. They canceled as of the 19th. Is that cancellation exercise becoming very commonplace again as in past years, or whatever happens, they prolong, cancel, delay, whatnot? Is that still ongoing, or?
I don't believe so, Councillor. The April 19th meeting was canceled because they couldn't achieve quorum that afternoon, and they, as you know, they've had a change in CAO, and I suspect that there's a few things that are going to be a little behind.
And my last question is that the Treasury 2017 audit, the second part of the Treasury working on development of in-house authored financial statements through our Minisoft software. How is that going to enhance and speed up the audits in the future, or is that going to complement, or can we just do like a self-auditing thing without an outside auditor?
Oh, no, it doesn't
No.
replace the exterior
No.
audit. It just
Okay,
means that
okay.
the auditor is developing financial statements created by the township as opposed to auditing financial statements created by the auditor, which makes it more sense.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilor Barrett.
I have no question, please.
I'll go to Councilor Smale now.
No, thank you.
I have just a couple of questions. Let's see where I can start here. So on the second page, on the 7:30 truck stop, our representative from Borden, Ladner, Bearding, do we know yet whether or not we've been able to recover the fire costs from the insurance company?
We haven't heard, not yet,
No follow-up?
nothing yet.
Now, the next question concerns the immediately following that one, the tax sales. 2 residential properties in Cardinal reached the end of 12 months and can now be listed for sale. What is the procedure for listing those properties, and when will the ads appear?
I'll defer to the treasurer to respond to that.
Yeah. The township uses an outside company for that type of process. The last comment, or the last email that I had from them, they would start that process in June, because they finalized on the 24th of May, so then they'll start the process of advertising. We can do them locally in our paper, on our website. There is a prescribed ad that we have to utilize and be advertised for 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Does the prescribed ad identify the property by civic address as well as by roll number?
I'd have to double check, we haven't done one in a long time, so I'm not sure. Definitely roll number, and it likely would have civic address as well.
Okay. The reason I'm interested is because I think civic address provides a wider exposure on the market.
For sure, yeah.
And on the operations environmental services, it's quite some time now since the manager in Ingredient asked me about this agreement for disposal of non-GMO wash water. Can you tell me what state that's at?
Director
Just
of
so that when I
Operations.
get asked again, I'll know.
Sure, Director of Operations.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. We are working through our due diligence on covering all those bases with respect to our certificate of approval and now the federal regulations to ensure that if we're going to proceed with looking at a pilot project with the non-GMO wash water, that we're not going to impact any of our current legislation. So I anticipate probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be meeting with Ingredient on a draft proposal, and if Ingredient is on board with that, then we will bring that forth to committee.
Okay, so have there been meetings to date? Have there been meetings with Ingredient over what it is they're trying to achieve?
We have had a couple meetings and several email exchanges.
Thank you. On the operations and municipal drains, the County Road 2 drain, I just wanted to ask that I be informed of the location for that meeting at 2 o'clock on June the 14th. I'd like to attend. And that's the end of my questions. So does someone have a motion to receive the CAO's administrative report? Councilor Morale.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Smale that municipal council receives the CAO's administrative report as presented.
Thank you very much. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. And item 13 on the agenda is council inquiries or notices of motion. Councilor Baird.
In our correspondence package that we received this evening, as well as the May 28th package that was circulated today, there are resolutions from municipalities of Uxbridge, Espanola, and Killarney regarding Bill 16, Respecting Municipal Authority Over Landfill Sites Act, introduced by MPP Ernie Hardman, calls upon the Government of Ontario and all political parties to formally grant municipalities the authority to approve landfill projects or adjacent to their community. And I would like that resolution, I believe originally from Uxbridge, to come forward to our next meeting for discussion.
Okay, so the staff will note that. It's just brought forward, another request is brought forward.
Thank you.
Any others? Counselor Smale?
I just wanted to give an update after the Dump to Donate on the weekend. The kids worked incredibly hard and they raised $1,300 for their trips, and the staff, the Public Works staff were incredibly helpful to make sure that happened, so it was a good day all around.
And congratulations, I didn't get there this year, but I had a number of people refer it to me, so I know it was successful. Anybody else? Hearing none. Okay, I'm going to go on to item 14. Item 14 is the mayor's report. A few things to report. Probably the most significant, it's a pleasure to report that the sale of the Grenville Mutual building has finally closed. And I believe it closed on Friday afternoon. The successful purchaser is Griffin Engineering Services, and spoke to the principal today. Very happy to have it closed. They were on site all weekend, getting some work organized. They have some renovations to do, a few minor repairs because the building has been empty for so long. Tells me that on Saturday they visited the auction house to meet the folks at the auction house, but according to Mr. Marshall, he didn't introduce himself, but they're very, very happy to be moving to the area. They'll bring with them 7 or 8 existing employees, and he gave me a list of the skills that they're going to be looking to hire in the very near future. So very happy to hear that deal closed. And by the way, the other thing that he wanted me to convey was sincere thanks to the work that our staff did in putting a little bit of pressure on the banks, because his lawyer indicates to him, directly from the bank's lawyer, that without the little bit of suasion that our treasurer was able to exert on the bank, the bank probably would have dragged their heels on this thing for another month or so, because of the speed at which big bureaucracies work. So I wanted to pass on those thanks from Griffin Engineering to our staff and thank them for that. The other thing I wanted to refer to is the Greenergy. So the Greenergy ad has now appeared in the Prescott Journal last edition. I don't know whether it's in again this Wednesday or not. They tell me they're going to run it for 2 to 3 weeks. The ad refers folks to just a basic outline of what they're intending to do, but it refers folks to a specific website that Greenergy has set up to further explain their operational plan, and a place where the general public can submit comments. Additionally, Greenergy has purchased a booth at the Business Showcase and Expo, and they will have people at the Ingredient Center to talk to people and answer questions. And speaking to Clayton Jones today, negotiations between the 2 companies are ongoing, getting down to, I would call it, the tough issues to be resolved. Item number 3 on my report, the Port Management Committee had determined to make a donation in memory of MP Gord Brown to the ice pad project that he was working on for Gananoque. And the question was whether or not we would make the presentation at a Port Management Committee meeting, or whether they would prefer to have the presentation done at the actual site of the ice pad. So I spoke to Jeff Brown on Friday afternoon in Gananoque, and he would prefer that the presentation be done there. So I've asked the person from the Thousand Islands Accommodation Partnership to arrange the time and the place and the press coverage, and I'll wait to hear from them, and then I'll notify council as to when that's going to take place. Hopefully others other than just myself and the Port General Manager will be able to attend. Item 4 on my report, the CAO and I met with Inspector Dobson last week to talk about the impact on our township roads when we have Highway 401 closures, and also to talk about traffic control during Highway 401 closures. So there are 2 major issues arising. And first is the issue of when Highway 401 is closed, it puts tremendous extra pressure and traffic on both Cedar Grove Road and Browseville Road. Get calls from residents of those roads about the heavy traffic and the speeds. Now, the last occasion when the 401 was closed, we closed Cedar Grove Road. And we closed it with a barrier and two of our own personnel manning the barriers. We indicated to the inspector that we're probably going to be forced to do that on the next occasions because of the traffic. Now, we had posted signs, but the OPP asked us to take down the signs because we have no bylaw to reinforce our position that there's no truck traffic on those roads. I'm just raising this as an issue now because it's something that we may be forced as a council to deal with. Because if we're going to post no truck traffic on Cedar Grove or Browseville Road, we have to have a bylaw to support it, and the OPP needs a bylaw in order to enforce it. So I'm just leaving it as a hanging chad right now. Now, the other issue that arises is the question of traffic control at the junction, at the T-junction, where Highway 16 meets County Road 2. Because when 401 is closed in both directions, I don't have to, Councilor Morell knows full well what happens. The highway is jammed both directions. Nobody can make the turn either onto 416, or 16, or off of County Road 2 onto 16. So we've asked Inspector Dobson to ensure that the next time that 401 is closed, that there is traffic control at that junction. Just gonna let it go at that, and council is aware of it, and we'll see what happens next. And item number 5, and the last thing on my agenda, is North Channel Supply. The building permit was issued, and North Channel Supply has commenced construction of their 100,000 square foot warehouse on Friday, and they'll be pouring their footings today, and the signs are up, and they tell me that they hope to have the building up and closed in by end of July, end of August. So, that's my report, and I think, Councilor Morell, you have the motion to receive the mayor's report.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Smale that municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And now, item number 15 on the agenda is the question period. Any questions coming forward from the audience this evening? First to the press.
No, thank you.
Anyone else? No questions? All right, item number 16, we do have a closed session this evening. Councilor Smale, you have the motion to go into closed session.
Thank you. Okay, then, I move by myself and seconded by Councilor Morell that municipal council proceeds into closed session at 7:08 PM in order to address a matter pertaining to the receiving of advice that is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for the purpose, specifically JRDR drain and minutes of closed session dated April 23rd, 2018.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Motion is carried, and we'll just have a 5-minute break and resume the closed session, and Councilor Barrett has declared his conflict with the closed session. Thank you.
The open meeting of municipal council does now resume at 7:35.
Thank you very much. Go to the closed session. Those in favor? Motion is carried. So we're arising from the closed session. Councilor Barrett resumes his seat. And the first item I'm gonna deal with is the closed session minutes of Monday, April the 23rd. And I have moved by Councilor Morell, seconded by Councilor Smale, that the minutes of the closed session of April the 23rd be accepted as presented. Those in favor? Okay, so that's carried. And then reporting further from the closed session, I'll just report that the CAO provided an update on the, gotta get the initials right, CRDR drainage issue. And the closed session provided direction to staff relative to costs. And that's the report of the closed session, and I'm looking for now a motion for the confirmatory bylaw. And I don't have a confirmatory bylaw, Councilor Morale.
Maybe I should go over there, vote. Okay?
You need the minutes of closed session there?
Oh, yes. Oh, I used my own.
Okay, does that help? Is it still the same? Me with Carrie second?
There's a 50-50 chance it was right.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, this here is moved by myself and seconded by Carrie that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Third reading, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Smales, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2018-33.
Those in favor? Motion is carried. And then finally, the motion to adjourn.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Barrett, the municipal council does now adjourn at 7:38 PM.
Very good. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you.